Right now, misinformation spreads faster than facts, especially on the most sensitive global stories. NVP uses uncensored AI analysis to verify the most controversial topics and separate signal from propaganda in real time. Instead of guessing who to trust, you can see structured verification and analysis behind every major issue. Hello everyone, welcome back to another live stream, and thank you so much for tuning in to another show. So the Israeli Prime Minister is posting videos on his account every single day for the past several days after there were many rumors about his initial recent video was actually a fake video. And ever since then, the only thing that he's been trying to do is prove that he's alive. Now, he published a recent video, and I'm going to share this video with you. And there are, again, some very clear signs that this video is not a genuine video, despite the fact that it includes none other than Mike Huckabee, the American president, the American ambassador, inside of Israel. On the other hand, Netanyahu is still missing many of the important meetings to do with his cabinet that relate to the war that Israel is conducting both with Iran and Lebanon at the same time. Of course, the genocide in Gaza is still ongoing, but we're talking about the two major fronts now. Something that Benjamin Netanyahu used to hardly ever do. I mean, this is very rare for Benjamin Netanyahu not to be attending meetings of the cabinet, of the security cabinet, the top political cabinet inside of Israel, when it relates to something so important to him. He clarified multiple times that he's been waiting for this. He's been lobbying American presidents ever since the 80s to go and attack Iran. Now that he has it, he's actually disappearing off the radar and instead posting videos. After we're going to share these videos and go through them, of course, try and rationally analyze everything here. We're going to talk about the recent waves, the new operation that Hezbollah is conducting against Israel. Is Ali Larijani dead? Israel said that they killed him alongside another figure. The other figure, who is one of the head figures of the Basij, Iran confirmed that he was assassinated. They did not confirm that Larijani was assassinated. So far, we are waiting to see if there are more confirmations coming here. What is that going to do anyway in relation to Iran? Because we're talking about a country that has between 4 to 7 people to replace any senior figure should they be assassinated. And we have seen that very clearly ever since Operation True Promise 4 began, when the supreme leader, alongside top figures in the IRGC and the military establishment, were assassinated. And Iran's performance, a performance that Americans in the American army and generals and previous colonels, Navy veterans in the United States are saying that is a huge humiliation and a disaster for the United States of America, and the world isn't going to be the same again after this. We're going to talk all about that, and let's begin, without further ado, with Benjamin Netanyahu. Let's have a look at the video.
Mr. Prime Minister, I wanted you to know the president asked me to come and make sure you were okay.
Yes, Mike. Yes, I'm alive.
I checked that, and I'm happy to see that. But he wanted to make sure because, you guys get along too well.
I know, and we shake hands with 5 fingers in each hand. But I have to tell you, I'm alive, but I have this card.
Oh.
And yeah, don't read it. So it's a punch card.
Mm-hmm.
Today I erased 2 names on the punch cards, and you see how many more to go on this batch.
You know what the good news is? My name is not on the punch card.
Your name is on the list of the good guys.
Thank you.
And what the president, the U.S. forces are doing is incredible. We're very proud to stand shoulder to shoulder with them. And getting rid of these lunatics would like to develop nuclear weapons and the means to deliver them to every American city after wiping out Israel. They ain't going to do that. We're wiping them out.
I love it. Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister. Good to see you.
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks. Take care.
Thank you.
So The first things we notice here is the initial moments. If we have a look at this moment over here in particular, firstly, there's a cut in that section. Secondly, Mike Huckabee's face. And I'm going to share some images with you after this so you can see more clearly. So there was a cut there. Could you see it? Look at the cut and look at the face of Mike Huckabee. We're going to zoom in shortly. Secondly, as Netanyahu is moving along, this pocket here appears and disappears simultaneously. And one of the clearest signs was when he comes and shakes the hand of Mike Huckabee, or whoever that is, by the way. Huckabee, Fakeabee, Netanyahu, and Fakeabee. We're seeing three fingers, not just once, but a couple of times during that video between both of them. Okay, that's the first thing. Let's go and break down a couple of the images that came from this video. First and foremost, and there's another image that we're going to talk about, which is him and Huckabee outside with multiple, of course, issues happening over there. So first and foremost, we can see clearly we have three fingers. So we drop down from 6 to 3. No wonder people are posting some videos with him with 2 feet, Benjamin Netanyahu. Let's have a look at some of the other, this one, the very important one. Okay, have a look at this. That's, I can't see the line of the pocket, and in a typical fake manner, everything's a bit more blurry as well. We can't see it. It's about to come, and there you have it. And it's also popping out. So it doesn't take a lot. Again, these recent videos of Benjamin Netanyahu, it doesn't take a lot for us to understand that they are fake. And we're going to get to the visits and why are they still so obsessed about it. Now, mind you, this was a previous photo of him and Huckabee. And we can see Huckabee with the same tie, by the way. A couple of things were changed with the fake. And as we mentioned yesterday, deep fakes or fakes with these types of AI video generations, they're usually much better when you use a prompt that includes the images and includes something so that the system can base itself upon. Otherwise, it will be a bit less accurate, if that makes sense. Then, of course, both of them had a photo together, and it was outside. That photo was taken with Benjamin Netanyahu and Mike Huckabee in what appears to be another just photo shoot between both of them. Let me just share that with you here. Netanyahu. Okay. That was the image that he posted. Have a look. Several things, you know, shadows, shadow in the back, this, all of these things. Now, clearly we have a problem here, a problem with Benjamin Netanyahu. And then again, and now he's recently publishing another video with a couple of people close to him. We're not getting these genuine vibes from the videos and images that are coming from Netanyahu. And with each image and video, we have problems, whether to do with the clothes, the fingers, hands, rings disappearing, all of these things. And you might ask, well, if he has someone with him, how can that be fake? Well, that's another part of the whole thing. these people are in it with him anyway. We're talking about a club of mass murders. That's not going to be a problem for them. And with Benjamin Netanyahu. Now, Netanyahu himself is talking about, and Israel also spoke about, assassinating a figure in Iran, or two senior figures inside of Iran, one of them being Ali Larijani. Ali Larijani, and one of the heads of the Iranian Basij, or the head of the Iranian Basij. And the Iranian side, they confirmed that the head of the Basij was assassinated, but there was no confirmation that the security secretary, senior security secretary, Ali Larijani, Security Council in Iran, was assassinated. Are the Iranians going to confirm later on that something happened with him, or is there something that they're not really confirming here? Well, now we have a confirmation, actually. Now there's a confirmation that Iranian media is talking about he is being martyred. Okay. So they killed Ali Larijani and they killed the head of the Iranian Basij. Why are they doing these? Why are they having these targeted assassinations? This was a recent confirmation that he was assassinated. Okay, so why are they assassinating more senior figures inside of Iran, and what is that about to do to Iran in general and the operational perspective of Iran, and what is going to happen after this? Well, there are a couple of things here to clarify. First and foremost, the Iranian side, they had their senior figures assassinated since the beginning. Now, we saw after those initial assassinations, Iran had a response that no one really could doubt. The United States confirmed that it was a surprise for them, how intense that was. Then we had a situation where, well, Israel is saying that it was surprised too, and Iran is still attacking. Donald Trump is trying to get more countries in to stop these attacks. And no one is going with Donald Trump. Because they are unable to stop these attacks coming from Iran, because they are unable to conduct an operation successful enough to a level where it would thwart Iran's abilities to retaliate, which was the main intention, by the way. The fact that Israel and the United States started with the top figures and then they targeted security hubs and senior leadership hubs was intended to prevent Iran from conducting a response, a proper response. They didn't want Iran to have the capacity to do that. But Iran continued. And that is due to one very simple thing, by the way, which is Iran has at least 4 to 7 people to replace any leader at any of the senior, most important positions in the country. Even at an operational level, if some figures are targeted, they have people to replace them immediately so that there is no gap in the leadership. That is the first thing. That's why they had this efficient response from the beginning. The second thing is Iran, its leadership structure isn't now restricted to one certain location. It's not like they're waiting for someone from Tehran to tell them what to do or another senior. It doesn't work like that now. They have a structured leadership, absolutely, but they also have command and control centers spread across over 30. Some reports say late 20, some reports say 40, but let's take the middle. Let's say over 30 hubs spread out across the country to conduct these operations against Israel and the United States. And the martyrdom of Ali Larijani, especially after the very important message he sent yesterday to the Muslim world, doesn't really do anything but highlight his position as another person, yet another person in Iran who sacrificed with his life due to him resisting the Epstein child trafficking coalition and the genocidal Zionists and this cartel, this operation against the Palestinian people, against so many countries in the region, and of course against Iran. That's what's going to happen. Is it going to deter anyone else? Well, has the assassination of the supreme leader deterred Larijani or deterred anyone else from operating? Or did it increase the fire in these people? Were these assassinations successful in thwarting the operational capabilities? Was anyone in Iran beginning to question the genuine success of Iran's operations? Nothing happened. They continued. But Israel and the United States, we're talking about bloodthirsty monsters at the end of the day, who are just out there for the killing. Kill, 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 to portray an image of victory against these senior figures inside of Iran or with the resistance movements. Look at Gaza. How many? They have been killing resistance leaders from either Hamas or any other movement ever since their establishment, even before Hamas was there. Every couple of years, they'll kill a few people. Sometimes in 1 year, they'll kill multiple leaders. And they continue. Likewise with Lebanon, likewise with other countries as well. And with Iran, it again signals that these operations, they don't really do anything at the end of the day. The only thing that they do is increase these people's legitimate and genuine keenness on continuing these operations up until they completely defeat both Israel and the United States. Now, is that also a cover-up? Because there was a recent statement coming from the IRGC talking about a successful assassination inside of Israel, simultaneously with the recent meetings that were taking place. The account said that affiliated with the IRGC intelligence announced the elimination of a senior member of the Israeli regime. They did not provide further details, but we know that they have been operating for quite some time now to conduct operations inside of occupied Palestine and continuously attack Israel with barrage after barrage. And they're escalating even further now with the waves that we're going to get to in a second, alongside the Lebanese resistance. Now, the proof that these operations are successful are coming now with confirmation coming from the United States. The United States now reported that there was a fire, reportedly, not on Abraham Lincoln, but on USS Gerald R. Ford in the Red Sea, according to them. There was a fire, and now they're taking it back to the United States of America. We didn't even hear about that aircraft carrier being targeted. So was it a message being sent by either Yemen or any of the other of the resistance fronts, or was it Iran? Did someone else do something to this aircraft carrier? And where is Abraham Lincoln now? George H.W. Bush is on the way. What is Abraham Lincoln doing? Why isn't it next to Iran? Why are there no signs that they are having this operation to stop Iran from shutting down the Hormuz Strait? And where are things going to go to exactly? All of that proves that Iran now still has the upper hand when it comes to this operation, and they have conducted two recent operations. One of them is Wave 58 and one of them is Wave 59 against the genocide state and US bases in the region. The operation 58, Wave 58, was dedicated to the children of Minab and the youngest martyr of the Ramadan war, whose name was Mujtaba, 3 days old, They targeted Nahariya, Beit Shemesh, Tel Aviv, Western Al-Quds, Jerusalem, and bases of the terrorist American army at Victoria, Ali Salim al-Kharj, and the 5th Naval Fleet. The operation was carried out from dawn today with precise pinpoint and super heavy systems. Khurram Shahar with 2-ton warhead, multi-warhead Qadr, Fattah, Khaybar, Shekan, medium range Fatih and Qiyam, destructive drones, and in an impact-oriented operation by the grace of Almighty God, completely successfully. They said they finished that operation, and they published a video about this operation.
Ya Hüseyin. Allahu Ekber. Allahu Ekber. Allahu Ekber. Ya sahib az-zaman. Ya sahib az-zaman. ای خدای بزرگ، ای قادر متعال، قدرت مطلق تو هستی و تو عنایت نما و این موشک ها را بر سر صهیونیسم جهانخوار فرود آور. مرگ بر آمریکا، مرگ بر اسرائیل، مرگ بر اسرائیل. مرگ بر آمریکا، مرگ بر اسرائیل.
So that was the 58th wave, and we can see that they have an abundance of missiles. Now, wave 59 was a very interesting wave because during that wave, Iran used a new missile called Hajj Qasim, a ballistic missile that was unveiled in 2020. And they targeted, this was most likely used against one of the American bases in the region. And they targeted again Beit Shemesh, Tel Aviv, occupied Al-Quds, as well as Al-Udaid, Ali Salim, Fujairah, Sheikh Isa, and Erbil. They targeted them with a multitude of missiles, a variety of missiles as well. And they also published a video with that operation. Let's have a look at the operation, Wave 59, coming from Iran.
Ya Zahra!
یا حسین ابن علی ایها الشهید ادرکنا شمارش معکوس 5 4 3 2 1 الله اکبر.
الله أكبر الله أكبر.
Now, these attacks are causing a lot of damage. I mean, massive destruction. And despite a lot of censorship, we saw some of the landings. Some people were publishing videos of the landings of these missiles on the occupied territories, as we can see in one of these videos over here, without any Israeli interception, and in many cases without any sirens too. And the reports that are coming from the occupied territories speak about a very minimal amount of time for the people to go in bunkers, because there are no sirens. No one is hearing any sirens of these attacks coming from Iran. Of course, there were other videos of the missiles that were landing, because one of these waves was at dawn. This one is another video. So we can see no interception whatsoever, not even an attempt. And this is a heavy missile, most likely with over 1.5 ton warhead. If it's the Khorram Shah 4, it could have 2 tons of TNT inside it, landing. And again, despite a lot of the Israeli censorship, we're seeing more of these videos coming out of the destruction and of the damage that is coming. One of them was on an Israeli train station as well in the occupied territories, as we can see in this video over here. And again, some people are still publishing these videos despite the heavy attempts from Israel to stop the publications. This is another video as well for a missile landing in the Tel Aviv area. If we have a look at this video over here. And a couple of more videos, I believe there were in relation to Iran. The others were in relation to Hezbollah, and we'll get to that shortly. The attacks that are coming from Hezbollah. Yeah, this was one of the missiles that landed in the central part of occupied Palestine. Again, hardly any images nearby. Most of the videos were from afar of the missile landings coming from Iran, and the waves are happening basically day and night. And Israel, what they're doing, like I showed you the other day, they are destroying any building that gets hit, closes the area. And if you look at it from outside, you can think it's a construction site, basically. This was another image of the recent attacks too, which leads us to the Lebanese resistance. Hezbollah, they carried out a new operation. That new operation, by the way, the attacks of Iran, one of them, in one of the attacks, although they said central parts and they did not really clarify about this specific attack, it was targeting the Israeli Dimona area because there were sirens being heard in that area, and that could indicate that they're targeting Israel's nuclear sites or nuclear research centers, because in those areas Israel doesn't have just the Dimona facility, which again could be a front, but they're also targeting the Israeli research centers potentially to do with the nuclear weapons inside the country. And again, that is coming without Israeli confirmation about any of these attacks. Which leads us to Lebanon. In Lebanon, Hezbollah targeted Israel, and they began a new wave against Israel, calling it Khaybar. This Khaybar operation from Lebanon began this evening, and the attacks that came have been more intense than before, with reports of 150 missiles being launched today. That was the logo of the operation. They're beginning a new operation. It said the 17th of March begins at 8:30 occupied Jerusalem time. Actually, that should begin as we're streaming, perhaps. Yeah, it's going to begin in 25 minutes. Okay, we'll cover that too if we're still here. We'll cover the new operation from Lebanon. So that means the previous attack, the 150 missiles, to conclude they called it the Al-Asf al-Ma'kul operation. That was to conclude that operation and then declare the entry of this new operation, and probably because it's going to be heavier. But what did they do in the end of the previous operation? They targeted Israel with 150 missiles in one day. And those missiles were literally overwhelming Israel. There were multiple videos coming out of the missiles easily being launched and landing without any interception whatsoever. This was one of them. So that was one of the operations that came from the Lebanese resistance, and there were several other videos of their attacks that were conducted today, targeting primarily the areas in Nahariya, Haifa, and more towards the deeper northern occupied parts inside of occupied Palestine, with, again, multiple missiles and a barrage of missiles, actually, that was very intense this time, with a lot of attempts from the Israeli Iron Dome to intercept many of these missiles, as we can see in this video over here. And they also, of course, published some of their operations coming in. This was another video, actually. Let me just share this with you. So most of these missiles landed from Lebanon against Israel, again, despite multiple Israeli interception attempts. This was, by the way, the map area that there were sirens in. This is the Dimona facility in this area. Nevatim is also close. And the research center also of Israel's nuclear program is in this area over here, which again indicates that Iran could have potentially targeted these locations too. And the Lebanese resistance, they also published some videos of their operations. Let's have a look at one of their recent videos.
אימא'לה, אתם לא יודעים איזה פיצוצים פה בינתיים.
That was one of their operations recently. And they had another operation that they launched a wide range of missiles with. Let's have a look at this video. And one of their recent attacks was actually an advanced cruise missile, as in reports that they targeted the Palmachim base in Israel. And again, they're only escalating with the level of missiles that they're using. Have a look at this. Now, that wasn't all, by the way. That wasn't all from Lebanon. There's more. And they're doing that very conveniently with all of these attacks. One of them was a guided missile that actually has a camera with it. And by the way, with the Lebanese resistance, which thing you need to remember is that some of their operations get published later on for security purposes or any other purposes that they have. So this was also a very interesting attack with a guided Almas missile. Have a look at this video. A lot of attacks coming from the Lebanese resistance. I mean, they're not stopping today, and I'm telling you, the sirens today, they were literally non-stop everywhere. Central Israel, the north, anywhere, all of these locations targeted, some of them simultaneously with Iran. And the interesting part, by the way, is that some of their attacks were being launched at Israel while Israel was attacking in Lebanon. See, so Israel is attacking in Lebanon. Israel has an easier, Air Force mission in Lebanon because the Lebanese resistance has less air defenses than Iran, although they took down several of the advanced Israeli drones, the Hermes 900, several of them. But they're not like Iran. So Israel is operating there heavily, but now that they are at an all-out war with Iran, by the way, a war that we haven't reached the peak of. I mean, this is not the peak. This isn't the peak from Lebanon. This isn't the peak from Iran. This isn't the peak from the resistance in Iraq whatsoever. Because from an Iranian perspective, they're actually still opening. They're still attacking in a way to open channels to reach a solution. They're saying they're no negotiating, but they're not attacking everything that they can attack. Neither them nor the Lebanese resistance. And you can see that, by the way, the United States is also refraining from attacking certain locations in Iran with the attacks of Israel. That's why they're trying to achieve these wins, right, by targeting some of their figures, assuming that this is going to reduce the attacks or give them like a moral victory, when really and truly we're seeing none of that. And the Iranians are continuing heavily, but you can see the United States isn't attacking, for example, the Khark oil fields, right, the strategic assets over there. And that indicates that they don't want to cross that line with Iran because they know what's going to come to them after that. So that's on that front. Now, multiple very interesting things happen simultaneously with internal politics inside of the United States to do with this operation. And it was very interesting to see that Trump's director of National Counterterrorism Center, Joe Kent, resigned today. Why did he resign? Let's see what he had to say here. That was a post of his. After much reflection, I have decided to resign from my position as director of the National Counterterrorism Center effective today. That means he thought about it for a long time, so he already had doubts. I cannot in good conscience support the ongoing war in Iran. Iran posed no imminent threat to our nation, and it is clear that we started this war due to pressure from Israel and its powerful American lobby. This is the first time that a serving member of the American security establishment is saying that the United States is making moves due to Israeli pressure and powerful American lobby. Well, the Jewish Zionist lobby in America. It has been an honor serving under POTUS and DNI Gabbard and leading professionals at NCTC. May God bless America, he said. That's his letter. Let's have a read. After much reflection, I have decided to resign from my position as director of the National Counterterrorism Center effective today. I cannot in good conscience support the ongoing war in Iran. Iran posed no imminent threat to our nation, and it is clear that we started this war due to pressure from Israel and its powerful American lobby. I support the values and the foreign policies that you campaigned on in 2016, 2020, 2024, which you enacted in your first term. Until June 2025, you understood that the wars in the Middle East were a trap that robbed America of the precious lives of our patriots and depleted the wealth and prosperity of our nation. In your first administration, you understood better than any modern president how to decisively apply military power without getting us drawn into never-ending wars. You demonstrated this by killing Qasem Soleimani and by defeating ISIS. Early in this administration, high-ranking Israeli officials and influential members of the American media deployed a misinformation campaign that wholly undermined your America First platform and sowed pro-war sentiments to encourage a war with Iran. This echo chamber was used to deceive you into believing that Iran posed an imminent threat to the United States, and that you should strike now, there was a clear path to a swift victory. This was a lie and is the same tactic the Israelis used to draw us into the disastrous Iraq war. Look, he's confirming that Israel dragged them into the Iraq war. So basically all of them who died there died for Israel too. It wasn't for freedom. It wasn't to spread democracy. That cost our nation the lives of thousands of our best men and women. We cannot make this mistake again. As a veteran who deployed to combat 11 times and as a gold star husband who lost my beloved wife Shannon in a war manufactured by Israel, I cannot support sending the next generation off to fight and die in a war that serves no benefit to the American people, nor justifies the cost of American lives. I pray that you will reflect upon what we are doing in Iran and who we are doing it for. The time for bold action is now. You can reverse course and chart a new path for our nation, or you can allow us to slip further toward decline and chaos. You hold the cards. It was an honor to serve in your administration, to serve our great nation. Joseph Kent. Okay. Here's my observation. Firstly, if he was already serving under Trump, then there was something wrong with him anyway. So we're talking about a person who has something wrong with him. And this man was pro-Israel. Knowing Trump, knowing what he did from 2016, withdrawing from the JCPOA for Israel, and he was still having this position. So we need to understand that. Bear these things in mind. The fact that a man like him is writing that actually makes it potentially more impactful, because he wasn't critical before, and he's seeing that, well, it wouldn't have happened if the United States had a decisive victory. Okay, let's remember that too. It wouldn't have happened had Iran not been landing these attacks successfully against the United States, destroying its bases in the region and hammering the child-killing butchers in Zionistan, occupied Palestine. He probably wouldn't have done that. But now that he's talking about it outright, this just proves how much it's all a farce. And he's also mentioning previous wars. I mean, can it get any clearer than this? The director of National Intelligence, National Counterterrorism Center. The man is in it. And he's telling you, we went to Iraq for Israel, and now we're going to Iran for Israel. And he's calling on Donald Trump to stop this and have some reflection. Pray for him. Dude, it doesn't look like any prayer is going to work with Donald Trump. He had like a couple of dozen people holding their hands and putting their hands on his shoulders and praying for him. He's hell-bent. The Epstein files are stronger. We're stronger than their prayers. Yeah. Once Netanyahu pulls the cards, you can forget about that. They can try as much as they like. But it's quite telling. I mean, this is a disaster. And let's think about it internally. Let's speak about this politically from the United States. Imagine you are the United States of America. You are the country that is doing all of that, you know, projecting military might and what have you, and all of these things. And you have your senior counterterrorism officer telling you that you are going on a war for Israel and because of pressure of its lobby in America. What is clearer than that? There's nothing clearer than this. America is occupied. The United States of America might as well be called the United States of Israel or Zionistan or Epsteinistan. That's the reality of the United States now. ZOG. So I think the Americans are realizing that. I mean, the American people realize that. There are now these figures coming from the Trump administration. I mean, this guy's probably one of the most relevant person that relates to the question of terrorism. Again, that this is another important factor because they constantly talk about terrorism. That's part of the propaganda campaign. They had the false flag of 9/11 to launch a war against a term called terrorism that they can plaster on everyone they don't like. And hey, presto, the majority of them happen to be Muslims with beards and turbans in Tora Bora and in other parts, but it can include others too. You know, now you have domestic terrorists in the United States, and they're white Christians, you know, nurses and what have you, men and women who just happen to love their country and not like foreign intervention. 11 murders, 11 assassinations so far, 12 even, according to a recent report from ICE. The other day, they killed an Afghani man who was actually working for them in Afghanistan for 11 years. He had a young child and he had a wife. They imprisoned him and he was killed in prison. Talk about serving the United States abroad. And now they have the heart of the American administration going against this whole thing. Pretty telling. Who are the terrorists? Who are the culprits? Who are the Zionists? It's very telling. Now, Israel, of course, said that they targeted, and oh, by the way, okay, we're having a shower, ladies and gentlemen. There's a shower happening now, as we speak. It's going to be an interesting live stream. A shower of missiles landing on Israel from Iran. The skies are turning bright on top of occupied Palestine as we speak, ladies and gentlemen. Another multi-warhead is landing. This is one of the recent attacks of Iran, by the way. There are a couple of videos that I want to share with you. Now, just as we speak, heavy missiles landing from Iran against the genocide state. Okay, let's have a look at some of the recent videos that are coming in. Oh, okay. Okay, this appears to be part of the 60th wave. I'm just getting this information from Persian channels, actually, so it's taking some time to kind of verify and translate. Okay, this is the 60th wave of attacks coming from Iran as we speak. Let's have a look at the launches. Okay, so that was the 60th wave. Clearly, because there's no clarification yet which areas were targeted, as a no statement yet, but it was published from the Iranian media. But there are also landings in Dubai on an American base in Dubai as we speak. I mean, this happened just 10 minutes ago. Let's have a look.
哦呦，打国际城了！我操！真打国际城啊！啊！我说那是什么东西啊？飞上去？导弹。不是说不打吗？不知道啊。会掉到这里来吗？不会。哦呦，打国际城了！我操！
So very limited interception coming from the United States of this attack against its base in Dubai, according to the recent reports. And we have also some more videos coming from Iran's cluster warhead missiles. This is in occupied Palestine.
جي شو هاي؟
ابعد شظايا والله شظايا
جمع شو هاي؟
انهاد كل انهاد
لا. شو هاي؟
يا حبيبي شو هذا؟ هذول فاك روسنا والله.
The people recording, by the way, are from the West Bank. That's why they're laughing and celebrating. In case you're wondering, by the way. Because Israel is murdering people in the West Bank every day. Okay, there are a couple of more videos coming from the UAE. Let's have a look. So we can see some interception attempts here from the US forces. Looks like there were some explosions, so they could have hit a couple of these bomblets. Well, either bomblets or a bigger cluster warhead, because some of the Iranian warheads, they'll either have like 80, like the ones you saw landing in on the genocide state, or ones with about 20, if I'm not mistaken, which would be bigger. So these appear to be some of them. And some of them are landing. Yeah, so that's Dubai now for you guys. That is the UAE. More videos are coming in as we speak. Let's have a look at some of the other videos as well. That was also from Dubai. And this video too.
国际城啊！哦，我说那是什么东西啊？飞上去？
导弹。
不是说不打吗？不知道啊。会掉到这里来吗？
不会。哦呦，
打国际城了！
我操！真打国际城啊！哦，我说那是什么东西啊？飞上去？
导弹。
不是说不打吗？不知道啊。会掉到这里来吗？
不会。哦呦，
打国际城了！
我操！真打国际城啊！哦，我说那是什么东西啊？飞上去？
导弹。
不是说不打。
And these ones are landing on Israel. Okay. And we're due to hear some more stuff now as we're streaming from a new operation coming from the Lebanese resistance. They said that they began a new wave of operations. They actually began this operation. Okay, so the videos are not coming yet, but here's what the Lebanese resistance is attacking now, has attacked in the past hour. They targeted an occupation gathering south of the border town of Maroun al-Ras with a drone. They targeted the Misgav Am settlement with a drone. They also targeted a gathering near the Mais al-Jabal with a rocket barrage. That's the Lebanese resistance. So this is the new wave of operations that they have. They targeted a gathering of soldiers in the Aqaba Rab 30 on the Lebanese-Palestinian border with a rocket barrage, the Taiba project with artillery shells, and they targeted Israeli enemy soldiers in the Taiba project for the second time with a rocket barrage. An occupation gathering in the Marj site opposite the border town of Merkaba with the rocket barrage too. So 10 operations so far. That is within less than an hour. And these missiles are landing from Iran on Israel. They haven't yet declared which areas they targeted, but we're clearly seeing the cluster warheads and the heavy warheads landing on Israel this evening in the 60th wave of Iran. I'll open the space up for the chat as well. If anyone has any questions, by the way, happy to go through them as we're going through the live stream. Thank you for everyone who sent supers so far. Much appreciated to all of you. And if you have any questions in the chat, if you wouldn't mind highlighting them as well. And also, in the meantime, I'll share with you something very interesting. You see, we spoke about the assassination and martyrdom of Ali Larijani. And they know that his assassination wouldn't solve the problem. As a matter of fact, they're publishing articles about why it's actually troubling. Look at this. The question that should be troubling is who will replace him. The Israelis are worried about the fact that They're targeting figures in the Iranian establishment, but they don't necessarily know who is going to replace them. Is that a country that is confident about what it's doing? Or is that a country that is petrified from what it's doing, and a country that knows that these operations are not going to be productive? They know. But they want some signs of victory because the whole operation is failing miserably. The nuclear program is still there, the enriched uranium is still there, the tech is still there, the knowledge is still there. Everything is still there. Not only that, but the Iranian side is saying now, today the head of the parliament, Khaybar, said that the situation in the Strait of Hormuz is not going to be the same again ever. There are going to be security arrangements. What does he mean by that? That means that Iran will play the most important role in what goes in and out of the Hormuz Strait. That's why Trump yesterday was saying that, oh, actually, you know, we might not need all of that oil. That's why he was saying that. To prepare himself. Ned K. Mahmoud, what is the status in Gaza? Are things better, worse? Also, general status of things in Iran? Well, in Gaza, it's not good because Israel is still killing and targeting every day. Of course, not at the same intensity as before this so-called ceasefire. As a matter of fact, there was a report today that the so-called Board of Peace that doesn't have Palestinian representatives met with Hamas because we're supposed to be in the second phase now. Israel is still destroying whatever remains, still killing people, and in many cases still blocking food and medicine to go into the Gaza Strip. So it's still devastating. And again, the ideal situation of the solution in Gaza is to not only compensate the people and open all of the borders, but also allow them to return to the homes that they were expelled from. In 1948 and 1967, 73% of the Gazan population comes from the 1948 occupied territories. Primarily Asqalan, by the way, that Israel later renamed Ashkelon. Alongside, of course, other villages and towns all across occupied Palestine. That's what should happen. So there needs to be an all-out solution here where you dismantle apartheid Israel and instill a government that, an establishment that has equal rights for everyone. Can't work like that anymore. It's the whole world realizes that. So the solution is bigger than Gaza, to be honest with you. It's not just about Gaza. I don't think we should contain, you know, the issue there. There should be a lot of focus, absolutely, because the people there suffer the most. But we need to remember that it needs to be an all-out solution, because so long as the apartheid is there and Zionism is there, the same problem will continue. And they would still be able to conduct another genocide whenever they wish. That's the situation that we have. Because they're getting away with it daily in the West Bank too. Also, general status of Iran. Recently, I heard one of the Iranian officials who also visits Iraq too, on his journey back to Tehran. And he had an 11-hour journey through multiple parts of Iran. And he described very positive vibes from the people. Nothing is missing in terms of food. The oil prices remain the same. The country prepared very heavily when it comes to war. And it's bringing the people together, even those who were opposed to the establishment in Iran. The Israeli-American Epstein coalition is still striking, and now they're striking more civilian targets. There are over 1,000 casualties, 1,000 martyrs in Iran, over 1,140. Many of them children. There are over 800 martyrs in Lebanon. let's not underestimate this genocidal entity and what it does with the United States. And they're defiant. And the people are in the streets. The people are in the streets of Iran every single night. I mean, if we look at accounts coming from Iran and the people and what they do, the people are out in the streets. They have celebrations to support their country's resistance to the United States and Israel. This was a recent video. Let me share that with you from Iran in particular. That's the vibe in Iran. Look, have a look at it. These are the Iranian people. And thank you for that. And thank you for everyone sending super as well. Much appreciated. Thank you so much. Much appreciated, guys. Diane, you said, if Iran knew Netanyahu was officially dead, would they release this information? I feel like they know. If they know, if they have evidence, I think they would. But I don't think they have that information. The fact that Netanyahu is posting all of these videos and there are so many gaps in these videos shows that there's a lot of suspicion there. Something very fishy is happening. But if Iran had, then they absolutely would, in my opinion. Violet, thoughts on Pakistan, Afghanistan. My thoughts on Afghanistan, Pakistan is that this skirmish war or war will not really serve anyone but the worst enemies of both Afghanistan and Pakistan. Pakistan supported organizations that it now no longer wants to support. They have power in Afghanistan, of course, Taliban. There's Taliban Pakistan, Taliban Afghanistan. The authorities there, we all know the situation, a coup, similar to Egypt, a coup against the democratically elected president. There, a coup against Khan. So that doesn't help, does it? And I think that both of them should, firstly, come to terms with the fact that it doesn't serve them, neither. I think there should be some reflection here coming from the Pakistani authorities. There should be more respect or total respect to the mandate that the people give to the authorities. And that wouldn't happen until Imran Khan is released from prison at the end of the day. Like what Sisi did with Morsi, who was later literally killed in prison. I mean, we have not evidence, but I mean, a lot of signs show that he was actually killed in prison too. And they're probably, the Pakistani side is trying to potentially kill Imran Khan in prison as well. So there are a lot of problems there. And unfortunately, that spreads out with multiple Arab and Muslim countries. But they need to look at the greater picture here. Because who does it serve? Think about it this way. These countries seeing Iran fighting now on behalf of humanity as a whole, they should stick with Iran and support them in this battle, rather than start having these internal problems. But then again, a lot of it reveals, who these people are. And a lot of the attacks that came against, they began from Pakistan primarily. And their claims, is that we have people on the border and they're going in. It's like the same movements that you supported before. That is briefly my opinion. Abdi Sadiq, can you verify the footage? The real is real that allegedly shows a direct missile on Bibi's house from Iran. There is no footage, to my knowledge, of a missile hitting from Iran. There was footage when Hezbollah targeted his house of their launch. And I believe there was some, not of the damage, but of the launch, I believe, at the time. So there was no video being released. But the IRGC confirmed today that they had a successful operation, an assassination against a senior figure inside the occupied territories during a meeting. That would be very interesting. More videos of the missiles I'll share with you, of the Iranian missiles landing in Israel without any interception as well. Okay. The Terminator, Mahmoud, the Americans, Israelis were convinced that Iran only had 3,000 missiles. So a big numerical miscalculation amongst all other miscalculations. Oh, the arrogance. Yeah, absolutely. I think that these figures, by the way, they were only published to deceive the public, firstly. They don't know how many missiles Iran has. But they have to convince the people that they have intel to tell them that this is the number, so that the people can think, well, okay, fine, you know, then an attack against them is okay, I guess. No one has the real number of the Iranian missiles. None of them have these numbers. So the United States claiming that it has or doesn't have, it doesn't work like that. They don't have these numbers whatsoever. But they're doing it to show the people that, oh, look, they actually don't have a lot of missiles. Therefore, you know, we can attack them and then get rid of their missiles. So all of this talk about like 90% or 100%, all of that is complete nonsense. Eduardo, thank you. Mahmoud, why has Egypt been so silent all along? Well, because Egypt, similarly to Pakistan, we're talking about a military authoritarian regime. Sisi came in a military coup, and he said many times that he's not interested in participating in this. A genocide was happening in front of his eyes, next to his door. People were starving to death as well. He wasn't even trying to open the borders to allow aid in, right? So that's why you're not talking about a regime that represents the people. Because had the countries surrounding occupied Palestine had governments that represented the will of the people will give them a mandate to, if not directly participate in a war, not make it easier for the enemy to attack other countries. To be fair, Egypt isn't like intercepting or whatever, but you have a border with Gaza. And the people were starving to death. There's a high level of responsibility there. Bondui Mahmoud, do you think this disruption will mean the downfall of the various tiny oil kingdoms who have slave labor and don't share the wealth with their people? Is Iran the only democracy in the Middle East? I mean, Iran is a democracy to a very large extent. They do have the rule of the jurisprudent, as they call it, with the Wilayat al-Faqih system with a supreme leader, but they have democracy, they have elections. Yes, there is a filtration system. But again, Iran is more democratic than many of the Western countries who claim to be democratic and only run by their financial backers and then become elected dictatorships for 4 years, and they implement all sorts of stuff. So I agree with that notion. And from the kingdoms, Well, they're in a really big trouble now, the kingdoms. And they are stuck in such a high wave of hypocrisy because they're condemning what Iran is doing, but they're saying that the United States didn't consult us. Say it as it is. You are there with the help of the United States. The United States didn't help you eventually. You have to choose a side, like Ali Larijani told you, and don't hide the fact that your countries are being used to kill innocent people in Iran and elsewhere. Until when are you going to putting your head in the sand? They would declare war when America wants war. They would not declare war when their people are asking for at least something for the sake of, you know, the Palestinian people or what have you. And there's going to be a very big crisis. And what's best for them now is to have a reassessment and put their hands with Iran. They need to understand that, and then they need to stop also fooling themselves. Iran is not targeting them. Iran is targeting the enemy bases in them. Iran is targeting terror hubs that they allow to have there. And if they're going to be insisting on remaining on the American camp, then they're going to continue the same problem and give the same pretext for another war, assuming Iran would stop, by the way, because I don't think Iran is going to stop up until the United States is, that's it, completely out and never coming back too. We're seeing a great shift. This is a very historical shift, what's happening now. It's not easy. YLL pal, if Netanyahu is in fact back with his dad in hell, who would likely take his place? Is there any chance that they take the opportunity to whimper out of the aggressions? Well, if he is dead, then they would need to have some time to think this out properly, because the country is very divided, and they know that if they leave a gap there, then the whole Israel is armed. I mean, the Israeli population is an armed population. So if you look at the settlers, the government gives them free weapons. There could be a chance of civil war, all-out civil war. So they need to think this through very carefully. There would be his deputy, I believe, and the man in charge of the court side, minister of the courts in Israel, Yariv Levin. He would likely replace him because he is the man who replaces him in his absence. So he will be in charge up until the next elections. There will most likely be a call for early elections. But typically in any situation of war, active war that is ongoing, they wouldn't necessarily like to replace a leader. So they would want to delay any declaration, assuming he's dead, and then come up with a formula or wait for the war to fizzle out. Because if there would be someone else, he wouldn't necessarily stop the war, because most Israelis support this war. Most of the Israeli Jewish population, apart from 3%, support this war on Iran. That's with stats, by the way. These are the recent stats. And thank you, everyone, for your supers as well. Okay, we have some videos of the cluster missiles warheads landing in Tel Aviv. Let's have a look at some of the videos.
نزل في القهوة يا ولاد اقسم بالله نزل في القهوة هي شوف 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 الله صورته خش جوا خش يما الله نزل في القهوة يا ولاد اقسم بالله نزل في القهوة هي شوف 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 شوف.
So that was one of them. Let's have a look at the other videos that are just coming in.
باك باك
יש מישהו פה? יש פה מישהו? בוא ניכנס לבניין. כנס לבניין. יש מישהו פה? יש מישהו פה?
So these were the latest moments of impact that are coming. Some more videos are coming in as well. Let's have a look at okay, so a recent statement came that the 60th wave of Iran, Operation True Promise 60. Let me share the video again with you. So a recent statement that True Promise, the wave 60 of True Promise 4 targeted the following locations: the Muwaffaq Salti Air Base in Jordan, Al Udeid in Qatar, Al Dhafra in the UAE, Ali Salim in Kuwait, Prince Sultan Air Base in Saudi Arabia. And they targeted them with long and medium range solid and liquid fueled missiles, including Imad, Qiyam, Zulfaqar, Dezful, as well as cruise missiles and one-way attack drones. The aerial support and refueling center in Ashdod and the support center for Rafael military and weapons industries were also reportedly targeted with Imad and Qadr systems. This is the statement that officially came from one of the accounts linked with the Operation True Promise 4. And these are the images of some of the landings of the cluster missiles. So each one of them is a small, of course, part of the larger missiles that are landing inside of Israel. Let's go back to the chat as we monitor the latest attacks that are coming now. Diana, I heard that MBS had asked Trump to finish the job with Iran. Is it because they are terrified of Iran if they survive the war with the US? There were some hostile statements from Mohammed bin Salman. He called Khamenei Hitler before, but in 2023, there was an agreement between them following mediation of China. The senior figures of Saudi Arabia started to visit Iran. Actually, both countries start to have joint drills together too. That reduced the tensions with Ansarullah in Yemen as well. I think all of them understand, or the vast majority of them understand very well, unless they are like just Zionist mouthpieces, that Iran will not be surrendering. So let's get that very straight. There was a recent statement from the previous Prime Minister of Qatar, Hamad bin Jassim Al Thani, who said that everyone needs to understand that Iran will not be surrendering. He, of course, condemned the attacks, well, because the bases of America are in Qatar at the end of the day, and other countries too. But he said that the Gulf countries need to realize that Iran is not going to surrender. And there are calls to have an independent pact between these countries to prevent any sort of actions from happening again. But again, the problem that some of these countries face is the fact that they're still in denial of their own complicity in the attacks that are happening against Iran. That is the main problem. And so long as they're not going to put all of the cards on the table and discuss everything, good and bad, from their end and from Iran's end, and their relationship with the colonial powers, looking to the future, then they're not going to be able to have a substantial solution. Because think of it this way, some of these Gulf countries who wanted to build like a safe haven, a hub for investments and attract, global events and what have you. Like recently, the F1 Grand Prix was canceled in one of these countries. People are moving their assets, moving to other locations too. There is a way out, however. And that way out will only come if they have a true review, a genuine review of their actions historically and the contemporary actions. And then what's happening now, I mean, what baffles me personally is that some of them continue to be in denial, like with this condemnation of Iran. Likewise with their mainstream media tools in the Arab world. Oh, we condemn Iran and don't attack us, don't attack the Arab states. Who is Iran attacking in the Arab states? Did Iran put an American base, or did you allow an American base to be in your country? Do you have control over it or not? And if you criticize the United States and President Trump for his war against Iran without even consulting you, then doesn't that raise alarm bells? So they need to get out of this position of in denial, being in denial, and the double standards that they're practicing constantly. You're not going to go anywhere by trying to mislead the people about Iran and their totally legit response against the Epstein coalition. That's only going to make things worse. Because then your people will think, okay, well, you're lying to us as well, then you're the problem, which might lead to revolutions. They don't want that. The primary thing for the ruling kingdoms is to remain in power. But they would need to find a different way. And they need to understand very well that the United States cannot defend them whatsoever. And Rosebud, thank you, and everyone else sending supers as well. You said Gulf state leaders in the yet unseen Epstein files. There was one, but who was it? I think there was a mention that the Saudi crown prince was there. There was a business figure from the UAE who held a very important position with a port company. He resigned, however, after the files were released. There could be some leaders there, who knows? I mean, there could be trying to extract something from them to do with the Epstein, if they have the relations with them. But that's not going to be, you know, tipping the scale for the benefit of the United States that much anyway. Because if the United Kingdom is not participating in the war, nor Germany, in a very hypocritical manner, they're participating by allowing, like, the United States to use the bases and arms and what have you, but as in not sending their armies to fight, these countries aren't going to do anything. Because all of that force is managed by the United States. However, they have the decision, and so far the decision is that we don't want to actually participate in this. Because we're only going to be targeted if it, you know, if we participate, and it's only going to escalate further. We're going to be in a weaker position as well. And that would be very problematic for them. And this is reportedly coming from Israel just now as well. Adam, read a report about Israel using white phosphorus. They are using white phosphorus. Thank you for that. They're using white phosphorus in Lebanon. They used it in Gaza. The United States used nuclear weapons. In Japan, they used illegal weapons in Iraq and all sorts. So to them, that's like nothing, the phosphorus, by the way. They recently sprayed fields in Syria and in Lebanon with chemicals. Nice Kiwa Mahmoud, is it true that the THAAD batteries replacing original destroyed one was quickly also destroyed by Iran? Well, they destroyed vast numbers of THAADs, according to some reports 8. That's why the United States started to dismantle some of them from South Korea and bring them to the region. But there are also other systems in operation. So the fact that they were trying to counter them in the UAE means that the United States still has a level of interception, regardless of the percentage of success, by the way, because the damage has been done and is continuing to be done. But the one that they're bringing, for example, from South Korea, or even if they deploy some more, that's not really going to change anything in the short run or in the long run. Because Iran has the address, Iran is following the personnel wherever they are, let alone a system when it's deployed. They have the satellite images, they have all of that information, and they can get it attacked fairly quickly without any problems whatsoever. Abdi saying is if Israel would use the nuke, what would stop Russia from using it in Ukraine? That is why Israel can't use a nuke against Iran. Impossible. Well, the nuke thing is very important, because if they do use it, I mean, that's going to be just a next level type of thing. That's why we have seen certain lines not crossed so far, like the core energy infrastructure. It hasn't been attacked. And if they do use nukes, then we're talking about just a much higher level of damage that's going to happen to them. Because it's going to have to be tactical if they want to use it. It's not going to be a strategic one. And of course, it would automatically send a wave of responses. And again, I told you yesterday, I think China already sent threats to the United States and warned them from, for example, targeting the Khark Island strategic reserves, because they get a lot of them. 90% of the Iranian oil goes to China, and they probably gave them an ultimatum too. Mr. Yui, is Larijani martyred? Yes, he has been martyred. Today there was a confirmation coming from Iran. Him and one of the senior figures of the Basij, I believe, were martyred. And Iran officially published a statement. And Israel immediately released, some people in Israel started to talk about the fact that they're worried who's going to replace him. Because they know that it isn't going to stop with his martyrdom. Nothing is going to stop these attacks. They don't have the capacity to stop these missiles. This is the recent wave. How is anything going to stop Iran from continuing? It's not going to happen. And Jay, you're saying they sprayed glyphosate at severe concentration levels over southern Lebanon. It's a banned pesticide, causes cancer and kills wildlife. They've poisoned the ground for years. Absolutely. Like the United States did that too in Vietnam. But they'll find loopholes to kind of say that it's legal to use it. And Israel does it. The United States does it. But hey, they can get away with it, right? There are some more videos coming from the impacts of Iran and the recent missile attacks in central occupied Palestine.
יואו, נרנדה. אשכרה הבניין שלנו. מה יכול לקרות? כאילו, ליד הבניין שלנו. יואו. וואו. בעיקר
So that was from the recent wave of Iranian missiles landing on multiple parts. And this was the multi-warhead, in case you haven't seen it as well. If Netanyahu's dead, facilitate, you said, if Netanyahu's dead, how does that change the course of the war? Would Trump still be blackmailed by Israel's Zionist expansion? Or can the US start to back out and wait for Iran to finish out the punishment? You see, in a way, the biggest punishment would be the United States leaving Israel to it. But in terms of the blackmailing, this is where things get a little bit more complicated. The blackmailing isn't necessarily in the hands of Netanyahu himself. They're in the hands of Israel as a country. That means they're not exclusive to Netanyahu. So should there be a new prime minister in Israel and they want to continue, or for whatever reason, whatever they want to do, then that would make them continue the process as long as they are interested in continuing. If they are not interested in continuing, then they wouldn't necessarily. They would not use it for continuing the war, and they would instead potentially call for an early election and then take it from there. So that was the recent attack that came from Iran. That was another angle of it too. Abed, you're saying, do you think North Korea could step in soon? I don't think North Korea would step in unless the situation reaches China. So should China be taking part at any point with Iran for any reason, so if the United States crosses the line with China, that would include North Korea. Okay, let's have a look at Benjamin Netanyahu's recent video for a second. He published another video, 35 seconds, this time in the cabinet. He said, I'm here with the defense minister, our chief of staff, the head of the Mossad, Air Force, senior commanders. In the past 24 hours, we knocked out 2 of the terrorist chieftains and the tyranny. Our aircraft are hitting operatives on the ground, Okay, let's have a look at the video. Let's have a look at the video. Check if this is another fake or what.
I'm here with Israel's defense minister, our chief of staff, the head of the Mossad, the chief of Air Force, our senior commanders. In the past 24 hours, we knocked out 2 of the terrorist chieftains, the top terrorist chieftains of this tyranny. Our aircraft are hitting the terror operatives on the ground, in the crossroads, in the city squares. This is meant to enable the brave people of Iran to celebrate the Festival of Fire. So celebrate and Happy Nowruz. We're watching from above. I'm here with Israel's defense minister, our chief of staff, the head of the Mossad, the chief of Air Force, our senior commanders. In the past 24 hours, we knocked out 2 of the terrorist chieftains, the top terrorist chieftains of this tyranny. Our aircraft are hitting the terror operatives on the ground, in the crossroads, in the city squares. This is meant to enable the brave people of Iran to celebrate the Festival of Fire. So celebrate and Happy Nowruz. We're watching from above. I'm here with Israel's defense minister, our chief of staff.
I'm not sure about this. I mean, to be fair, all of his recent videos are fishy. Okay, so we established that there's definitely some of them that are absolutely fake. Let's see if we can find something in this video. Firstly, I mean, it's not very clear. It's blurry. And very short. Zoom in. A couple of things that are not matching here. These vents not very aligned. What do you think, guys? It's very blurry, isn't it? I'm still not convinced that this is 100% genuine. Okay, I mean, if this is supposed to be writing, it doesn't make any sense. Even the opposite way. People in the room not looking at him, one of you is saying, yeah. They appear to be slower than usual. Look at his face. Hold on, let me take... look at his face over here. He looks like he's in slow-mo. Right? So Netanyahu's talking, this guy's in slow-mo. And him. So the defense minister and the IDF chief of staff look like they're slower than usual. Hold on a second. Hold on. Okay, hold on. Look at the door. Look at the door for a sec. Look at it. Okay, no, this is dodgy. Again, look at the door. I'm trying to look at everything here. Look at this door. What is that? I'm not buying it. No. This doesn't make sense. Look at that. Look at it. It's like there's a ghost in front of it wavy. And the writing here doesn't make any sense whatsoever, even if it's the opposite way. It might slightly resemble the modern Israeli Hebrew, but it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Him and him are in slow-mo. These vents, they're not matching, but okay, can say that, you know, I don't know, different tables maybe. These ones popping out more than the others. What else? The whole thing is blurry. Tell me, guys, if you think, if you can see something too. And thank you for your supers, everyone, alongside Synchro. Khalid, thank you for your membership and all of our members as well. Natalie, you said, thank you. You said, as an editor myself, I can tell the other guys around him are legit. He's just placed in there. It's absolutely edited. He's added in also saturation difference. Thank you for that. Thank you for that input. You see, I'm even suspicious of the people around him. Synchro bot, the vents on the table in the first seconds are not the same. In the first seconds, yeah, they're not the same. Absolutely not. This one doesn't match with this. This one is like the opposite side. These ones are bigger. But then the biggest giveaway to me is the level of blurriness. I mean, my goodness, it's so blurry. And then the door, look at the door. What is that? And these look to be in slow-mo. He even looks like he's slightly in slow-mo. And the zoom in, and this move over here, look at this move. See this move, this slight move? It's typical to AI-generated videos. Why are they moving? Why are they moving the camera like that? What else is there? Let's slow it down. You can see the door with the slow-mo. It's so obvious. Look at that. And what is that here? Is that a guy who like disappears or something? Look at the guy behind him. This guy behind the window. Looks like someone like vanishes to the floor. Or goes up again. The edges are very blurry. Interesting. I mean, I'm not buying that it's legit. I'm not buying that it's legit. I mean, many people are speaking about the vents and the fact that they're different. Hmm. Yeah, I'm not convinced. I'm not really convinced. One of you is saying that the reflection of the head in the glass doesn't follow Netanyahu head movements. If that is the head, yeah, there's a point. You have a point there. Hold on, there's slight movement now, but it's not the same thing. Mm. And one of you as well said the length. Yeah, I also agree. The length of the video is very short. And usually if they want to give a briefing, it's usually a longer briefing. Instead, he's having like a cocky statement of, oh yeah, we eliminated more people, and bragging, instead of giving some substantial developments on the ground. And as well, you know, Natla, I think he said the saturation. Someone else is saying that the brightness level, which makes sense. Ahmad, you said that the lightning is too bright, the lighting is too light, the other is just dim. You're right about that. The flag that this guy is wearing behind him, that's not very convincing too. But the door, my goodness, the door, look at that. Let's see if we slow it slightly more, what happens. The door thing becomes so obvious, isn't it? Look at that. Look at that. The lines change from one place to another. They shift. Look. Look at that. And I swear in the previous video, Netanyahu looked thinner, didn't he? Let's see the recent video of his. Let me hold on. Have a look at this recent video. This his image here. Look at his face here. Now look at his face here. Doesn't that look wider to you? Let's go again here. And here. His face looks thinner in this video. Then you go back here, it's as if they've taken Netanyahu from several years back in this video. And that's just yesterday. Today, at this zoom, this slight zoom, it always happens with these fake videos. And doesn't this appear to be kind of too dissolved in it rather than having a clear bulge like on this side? It looks like this is morphing into the rest of his look at that. Oh my goodness, this is invisible now. Look at this. The more you slow down and repeat, the more you see more stuff. Okay, look at this side. Look at his coat carefully, okay? Let's play it again. Look at the coat on this side and look on this side. Now it appears to be like dissolved, isn't it? Look. And then it starts to show slightly. Look at that. This doesn't make sense. And now it's becoming more obvious. And it's so blurry despite the zoom in. And this slight zoom, so fake, by the way. And that's him yesterday. Again, you're starting to see it slightly here. But look at it from this section over here. Look. Now it's as if it doesn't exist. It's as if his coat on this side doesn't have this part. Nothing. And then the door. That's probably the biggest giveaway, by the way. The door. The dancing door. Look at that. And this guy here, or disappearing, all of a sudden going down. The saturation and brightness levels. And Curtis, you also said, thank you for that. You said he has more hair on head today than the other video. You're right. It's because they probably used an older version to fake the video, where he looked a little bit fatter and he had slightly more hair. Because this is him in the most recent video. So what'd you say, guys? Is that Netanyahu or no Netanyahu? Netanyahu or no Netanyahu? I'm not convinced. It's not convincing. They're trying to do that to convince the people harder, and the fact that they're doing that shows that they're really worried. But yeah, I'm rooting for Netanyahu. Again, you know, it doesn't necessarily confirm that he's definitely dead. But I'm not really convinced that this is Netanyahu. Okay, let's finish up with a couple of the recent landings from the Iranian missiles during the 60th wave. We've had a couple of videos coming in. I'll share some of them with you. Let's have a look. These are the cluster missiles that were landing. And there were reports of a failed interception as well. Let's have a look at this video. So these were the recent attacks from Iran and their 60th wave. Iran's commander of the IRGC Air Force, Aerospace Force, Brigadier General Sayyid Majid Musawi, said that tonight the enemy's sky will be worth watching. And we clearly saw what he meant, that the sky was worth watching with the missiles that were coming from Israel and coming from Iran on Israel. And he most likely meant this view over here. It was worth watching. It was worth watching. Okay, guys, we'll wrap it up here. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll hopefully be with you tomorrow with a couple of more videos and either a live stream in the morning or not, or several videos, because we usually do either 1 or 2 live streams and then some videos too. So thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for everyone who sent supers and participated in the chat. Enjoy the rest of your day, night, or afternoon, evening, depending on where you are. And I will see you soon in the next video. Peace, everyone. Salam. Right now, misinformation spreads faster than facts, especially on the most sensitive global stories. NVP uses uncensored AI analysis to verify the most controversial topics and separate signal from propaganda in real time. Instead of guessing who to trust, you can see structured verification and analysis behind every major issue.